Welcome to another episode of Tormenta Talk. This is La Tormenta. We are the official supporters group for West Texas FC out here in Midland, Texas. I am Luke McDonald. I have with me El Presidente, Brian Hodnett, and we have a new voice and face for the podcast, Mr. Cameron McQueen, joining us as well, another La Tormenta member. So, Cameron, why don't you just take a second and introduce yourself? How'd you get looped into this crazy show?
Yeah, so I'm Cameron McQueen, and I've just been a soccer fan for life. Always played as a kid, just could never get enough of it. And then sometime early last season, my friend Luke McDonald let me know that there's a local semi-pro soccer team that just happened to be pretty good and a lot of fun to watch. And so from there, I pretty much watched every game that they had from that point on. Made it to all the home games last year, except for the very first one, I think. And then I just got the bug. I'm all in. So
I will point out, too, last season you were still living in Andrews, and you were there for the Denton game. You waited around. You were there till the last whistle blown, man.
I had my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old with me all the way till like 1 a.m.
Worth the ride. It was worth it.
It was totally worth it. Yeah, that was a blast.
Which was good. Had that been a boring game, that would have been a huge bummer. But it was quite the opposite.
Yep, exactly. It was exciting.
So we're talking here just on the heels of our first home match, West Texas FC versus Oklahoma United FC, and unfortunately that was a loss for us. First loss of the season. And so we're going to talk about that game. We're going to talk about, we've got 2 games coming up this next weekend, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff going on around the league. But first, guys, I'm just curious when it comes to the first home game, whether it be something on the pitch, something in the crowd, just what's something or some things that surprised you for the first home match against Oklahoma?
You know what? I was surprised. Bunch of new players, you can tell. Bunch of different things going on the pitch. Some things didn't go right away. They actually went pretty wrong early. I was surprised by the resolve of this club. Last year in Columbus, we started the "We Don't Quit" chant. We pulled it back out again. And dang, if we didn't go down to the death. The boys fought. Bell to bell. I mean, like I said, we were chest up to the bully on the block at that point. We got our nose bloodied, but we got back up. We punched back. So I got to see some resolve. So you kind of see some of this grit we talked about with this club. You got to see these guys out there. It's like, did you see anybody quit? Did you see anybody give up? I didn't.
Right.
I didn't. They fought to the 90th plus. Thank goodness they gave us that stoppage time. We didn't score.
It was a long stoppage, too, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dude, look what happened. There was so much right there. The heat, you could tell the heat got a hold of people. I mean, there's a lot of stretching and stuff like that. I was surprised. We got some new fans in the group over there helping with some chants. We had some new chants released. We got some new people asking, like, when we're going to do this again. So, really and truly, man, overall, yeah, we took the L, but I think there's a lot that can be learned from this. And I look forward to us, doing the watch parties, going against Brownsville and then going against Houston. And then, a week from Saturday, doing it at home again against our friendly rivals from the north.
Yeah, that resolve, I sensed it too. And I was curious, like, I actually felt the momentum to a degree where I thought, this is going to be a magical first home game. We're going to come back and, win it, because I felt like that's what the players thought. I don't know. Were you feeling that, Cameron? Like that like, we are going to win this game?
Well,
yeah. So, I mean, going into halftime, it was like, oh, this is kind of discouraging. But last week we scored 3 after half, and so I was like, I know we've got it in us, and it's going to take all 3. And so then we gave up one more, and I was like, oh no, then you just started kind of seeing it shift, and you started seeing, more cohesion on the field, more, good touches back and forth, better passing, to where we were building something up. Early in the first half, it was very much like we're having a hard time breaking the lines. The heat was slowing us down, it felt like, and we were running into the wind also. And so it really just felt like a little bit of a drag in that first half, but then that second half came out and it really felt like it sharpened up and started moving faster and started a lot more progress. And yeah, that same thing, that stoppage time, I didn't notice when the 90th minute hit. And unfortunately, they stopped the clock. And so then it's like, how long has it been the 90th minute? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like how many minutes are we getting? It's not like the Premier League where they hold it up for you on the sign. But yeah, so that was a lot of anticipation there. Like, man, one more could fall any second now. But unfortunately, we're just shy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. What's something that surprised you, Cameron?
So I would say that I was actually kind of surprised by the squad not being the exact same squad. And so I went and looked up some of the rules because I think we've signed like 26 players and haven't seen them all, right? There's been some notable absences from the signings. And so I went and looked it up, and the rules are that they can only have 18 on a match day squad. They can sign up to 30 for the team, but to actually make the match day squad is only 18. So really excited to see some of the guys that we haven't seen yet. And I know that there's some people that should be coming in soon, some people that have, taken some little knocks in the first game that hopefully will be back. And so really excited to see guys like Jasper come back around.
Yeah, I thought that I remember going up to kind of the upper deck during halftime, and like half the squad was sitting up there, right, watching the game, and it was like that team could go out and compete, like just the people sitting up here, like without adding anybody. And it's one of those, we talked a lot about the number of quality players, and that's just an unfortunate downside, is that you've got some serious guys who are watching this game.
Do you pick?
Yeah, and
then
it's a bummer to have
this.
Out of that? yeah, even harder, right, with only a couple subs. So, I think I had a lot of surprises. I think one positive, one negative one. The negative was that I was surprised how tired we looked during warm-ups. Like, even before the game started, it looked like the guys had been like out working all day in the sun. They just looked pretty gassed, and I don't know if it was the heat, on the pitch. That turf can't be like, I'm sure it's super reflective, but it's not a pleasant place to be whenever the sun's just beating down on you. So I'm not like judging at all. It was just like, man, they already look tired and sweaty, like they've been playing for a while. And then the positive,
too hard.
Yeah, it might be, man, might be. But I know they've got it. We've seen them. We know what these guys can do. We saw it against Fort Worth, so I know that they've got it in them. And I'm sure if I looked like they did, I'd be done for the whole day. But these guys are professional athletes, so that's what they do. But I was also, the big thing that I was super surprised by was the turnout. I think we had over 1,000 people at that first game, which every year the first home game always feels kind of light, and then we grow as the season progresses. It felt like, the line was wrapping around the parking lot almost, right, to get in. I was like so stoked about the turnout.
Yeah, I showed up, I think, 30 minutes early. I didn't get to make it to the tailgate, but I did show up about 30 minutes early, and it was like, whoa, this line is all the way out to the parking lot, then wrapping around through the trees, and then I worked through it all the way to the front, and I looked back, and it was just as long still. It's like, holy cow, like, people are excited to be here. That was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Were you kind of surprised by that, Brian, the number of people that showed up?
To be honest, I was hoping there was more, but Memorial Day weekend, graduation weekend, what do you want, right? We had about 1,000. There towards the playoffs, we were going over 2. Really and truly, I'd love us to get to 3,000 at some point this year and just keep growing up. But yeah, there was looking back in the line, like, wow, this is a group.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and looking up in the stands from the front down there and looking around, I was like, man, there's a lot of people everywhere. So I'm looking forward to it filling up more. But yeah, for opening weekend, pretty proud of it. Pretty good turnout.
Same.
Absolutely.
Same. So if we kind of focus on the pitch, it's always tough whenever you have a loss, but I think there were a lot of positive things to point out as well. So, Brian, I'm curious, give me player of the match. Who do you think? And if you want to mention a few on your way, that's fine too. But give me who's your player of the match?
Alberto De Miguel.
That's
2
fast.
goals.
Yep.
And you saw, man, put in work, dribble through people. He definitely was my player of the match. Trying to think. We had some guys that really did well through the midfield. I mean, Carrick, he went out there and he fought. He fought till he got subbed out there later in the second half. Man, you just had a whole bunch of different guys out there just kind of get in the mix and going. Nobody really quit. Just had to sub some legs in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely my player of the match, my man of the match is Alberto. So.
All right. Cameron, who do you say?
Yeah, 1,000% agree. Alberto, I mean, outside of the goals even, he just looked dangerous the whole game. Mm-hmm. I mean, never slowed down for a minute. He was moving faster than anybody on the field, it felt like, and just constantly was making guys look silly. He'd get the ball in that corner and he'd be like, oh, he's blocked in. And then all of a sudden he'd be on the other side of the defenders and he'd be putting a cross in or something. Just lots of dangerous plays. And then as kind of, I'll give you a second and a third. Second, I would say Apia, Antoine Marquez. It was him that had the beautiful assist to Alberto on one of his goals off of like the bottom of his foot, just kind of pushed it over to him. And just, I mean, it was gorgeous. And he, again, just an engine that wouldn't stop. He was coming all the way from that up front striker position all the way to our back line to pick up the ball when we were having the hard time breaking the lines to create some creativity. And he just really was helping us to move that ball along really well. And then the last one, our other goal scorer, Kenny Alhakazamana. Is that right? Alhakazamana?
That's our best guess, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man, that goal was sick. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. And I think I was telling Luke the other day after the Fort Worth game that, I mean, that guy's dangerous. He has got a touch. He's got control. He's fast. I am excited to see him get a lot more minutes, I hope, because the guy just is dangerous with the football.
Yeah, and in both games, he comes off the bench and really makes a difference, which is great, and maybe that's kind of...
that's what you need, those 60-minute guys that come
really
in fresh legs and just are so dangerous too. Yep. So.
Well, and when you've got pace like that in reserve and then pull that out right as everyone else's legs are getting tired, that's a pretty slick move on Scotty's part.
Tough to beat.
Yeah, I would echo both of you guys. I think Alberto. I think it's fair to say he was one of the standouts that we mentioned even in the Fort Worth game, having not scored a goal. The work rate, just how good on the ball he is. That second goal, I'm pretty sure it was the second one, was, we'll talk about kind of what we thought was the biggest kind of hurdle and what kept us from, winning that game. But one of the things that I kept seeing was just the final pass. It was like we would get the ball into a good area and then just kind of miss that last little couple of touches. And I don't know if it was Alberto was just like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to take it all by myself. And he kept like looking like he was going to pass it, run past a guy. And then I'm like, oh, the pass is open. And he just keeps going, takes it into the goal. And it was like, I think I just looked at Chris and I was just like, that was like one guy, that whole, passage of play. It was incredible. But I definitely echo Apia, Kenny for sure. The other one, I think Santi. I think Santi kept that game from getting way out of hand. And I think in the first 2 games, that dude has been outstanding. With a roster of really great keepers, I think he is making it tough on the coaches, because when someone's playing like that, it's tough to want to put somebody else in, and it just makes me feel so much better when he's at the back. So I really loved his play again. You never like love it when your best, like one of the standout people is a keeper, because that means they're doing too much work. But luckily we've had him back there, so I thought he had a great game. So Brian, what do you think was kind of our biggest problem in the game?
Man, I really look at it, and I don't really want to say conditioning, but man, it felt like the heat was sitting on us. It felt like the humidity was sitting on us. I I know they're working hard. They're working in the heat, things like that, and it's tough out here. I really feel like we're still gelling too, though. That was another thing. It's like we had the one match, we had the Fort Worth. This is our second full week of real practice, so you can still kind of see there's a little bit of we're still not real familiar with the lineup. We had a few changes from our first match to where we're at now, and I still think that's going to be something as we go through the season. You're still going to have to figure that out. We're going to have different players in different positions quite a bit, I think. And I think that kind of was against us a little bit. You can kind of see we had a little bit different on the back line. We had a little bit of changes here to there. I really feel like we just had a little unfamiliarity out there, and that kind of bit us a bit. But what do you do? What do you really do? I mean, we had one match against Fort Worth. You've got to keep progressing. I do like how they kept trying to hold their shape because those guys were very speedy. They had a lot more speed than we did. We noticed that. So that was one thing that got us too. Now, when we kept our shape and held our lines and things like that, we were able to keep them off sides and we were able to keep them kind of at bay. But I think that's a couple of things that really got a hold of us there.
Yeah, great leadership too. Cameron and I were talking about Cam Watts. I thought Cam did a really great job, really keeping that back line. That's right. And that was something that I was really happy with, was just the communication on the back line seemed strong, and we were able to catch them out quite a few times, which was good. But man, when they broke through, they were tough to catch.
They were fast.
Yeah, they were moving fast for sure, and I think Brian hit the nail on the head there. Just like there's some of those communication issues, but then also that heat and the sluggish legs, especially early on. It seemed like I think their first goal really came as we were jogging to go and get the ball, and just didn't have quite that urgency that we needed, and they just zipped past us, and 2 touches, and it was in the goal, and it was like, whoa, I didn't even know they were coming. And so I think saw a couple of those opportunities where without Santi, it really could have gotten out of hand, just where they zipped by us and we didn't even know it was coming. So, I think similar to last year at this time, we had a good first game, and then we went off to Denton and kind of got woken up, right? And that's what I hope this game serves as, kind of like oh, hey, we're going to have to give it our A game every game, right? And just little things like building that unity together, like a great leader like Cam Watts showing, hey, let's hold this line, watch that guy over there, that communication to be able to really shore up that back line, I think is going to go a long way. And it just takes time. Like, I mean, these guys have known each other 2 weeks. And so it's hard for them to communicate perfectly at this point, but they're going to grow together fast, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's hope. And I think talking to the players and to Scotty after the game, you could tell they were pissed. Like, they were not happy. And I liked hearing and seeing the standard that they've set for themselves, and knowing that, like, they know they can do better. They know this is not cool. And honestly, I mean, it was a 1-point game, so it wasn't like a blowout or anything, but they know, I think Scotty, I went over and shook his hand. I'm like, how you doing, coach? He's like, 2 out of 10. That ain't going to happen again. And it was like, okay, I like this. And none of those guys are messing around. They all came and apologized to me. I'm so sorry.
That was the echo, man, up there. It was all, I'm sorry. For what? For what?
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to show up at the next match. We're going to be here, man. Y'all fought your butts off for 90 plus. With the least we can do is make some noise for 90 plus. And again, I'm just a fat guy in the front row. I can't even, run the warm-ups with those guys.
Yeah.
So just understand, I'm not criticizing conditioning by any means on that point. I'm just making an observation. But those guys, what they did out there, they worked their asses off.
Yeah.
To go out there and put on the show.
That's right. And it's
credit to – oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Cameron.
I'll just say credit to OKC. I mean, they're fast.
Yep.
They're good. Mm-hmm. They're a team that has played together a lot more, from my understanding, is they're kind of 2 college squads that come together in the summer. And so they've got that cohesion. They've got that unity. They've got the communication. They know who's going to go where, and then they're fast. And so, it's going to take us some time. But I think when we go to OKC, we're going to be a different squad.
Yep. I totally agree. And I think one of the things at the halftime break I remember talking to somebody about was it just felt like the midfield. And I'm not smart enough to know how much of it was the setup of OKC and how disciplined they were. They had a good setup and they were very disciplined. So those things are true. Or if it was just our kind of like trying to figure one another out, but it definitely felt like the middle of the pitch was so congested that we were having a tough time getting the second balls out of there, and just a lot of sloppy turnovers there. Like I said, it wasn't like some of it felt like a lot of that was good things that OKC were doing, and a lot of it were things we can improve on, certainly. But I think the big thing, and Brian mentioned this, I think after the game, was it was like an engine where you got one piston that just isn't firing correctly. Like you know what that engine can do, you know what it's capable of, and you know all the parts are there. It just wasn't quite turning over correctly.
Yeah, we're knocking a little bit.
Time to head into Scotty's garage. That tune-up.
That's right. That's right.
So that's what Scotty went. Scotty's in the lab. He's in the tune-up. He's changing the spark plugs. He's getting it all dialed down. Yep. We're going to be ready.
And Luke, I think to your point, OKC was doing kind of an interesting little hybrid thing. They weren't pressing real hard, but then they were bringing up their back line pretty far. And so then that just left everybody between the 40 and the 30-yard line. And it congested that midfield a lot, which led to us having a hard time breaking those lines. And so then our line was coming up far, defensive line, and then just trying to hit deep balls, which that works sometimes. But then if they know that's all you're doing, they start to expect it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, and a lot of people, when you look at 4 goals conceded, right, a lot of people point at the keeper. I mean, we've been watching soccer long enough. We understand that Santi saved us from being 8 to 3.
Right.
So, I mean, there was a lot of shots that were saved there. So I want to make sure, like you said earlier, Luke, that he gets his nod there. I really feel like he's going to be something really special for us going down the line here. I don't know if that man's going to need some rest or something, because, dang, he's been worked hard. He's been worked hard.
And I'm excited to see some of the other keepers, too.
I am, too. And I bet we see some coming up on this road trip, because this little Friday night, Sunday night turnaround coming off this Sunday night, I mean, that's hard on the body.
Yeah.
Recovery's tough. So I bet you we get to see a little bit of something while we're watching film.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't
see where that turns out.
Brownsville and Houston, you think the weather's bad in Midland. Those places get next level. I mean, talk about heat and humidity down south and way over in East Texas. Those are tough places. So I'm really excited. I think we're going to get to see a lot of players, like not just, potentially goalkeeper, but, I see a lot of rotation, which as a fan, knowing the depth of our squad, I'm really excited about. I think it's going to be a differentiator for us this season, and I'm excited to kind of see Scotty use that full arsenal. And so curious, as we think about, we're going to face OKC again, right? Mm-hmm. What are you hoping, or what are you expecting that return game is going to look like? What do you think, Brian?
Well, I don't know. I feel like that we're going to go, and we got hit in the mouth. And as a kid, growing up in West Texas, my dad would always tell me, if someone hits you, you got to hit them back. So they blacked our eye. I feel like we're going to bloody their nose. This is not going to be the same squad that you saw. This is like the Karate Kid movie. Daniel's son just got beat up. Now we're waxing on, waxing off. Pow, 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 pow. We're going to be going up there a whole different squad, because we still got a few weeks before that Oklahoma trip. I really feel like what you saw on Sunday, Scotty and them be like, yeah, just delete that tape. Yeah, just trash it, toilet, flush, boom, flush it, move on. Get ready for the new stuff, the new hotness, because it's going to be coming, and it's going to be nice. I really feel like it will be. As long as our dudes can stay healthy and they can keep working this game plan up, I cannot wait to see this Oklahoma City game. Whether it's going to be at a watch party or if I can just catch a quick cheap flight and get up there, that might be a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So would that make Scotty Mr. Miyagi? Is that? in that analogy.
I would say so. And then you can just have your multiple Daniel song.
There you go.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm calling it now the Alberto hat trick when we return to
Ooh.
Takes the ball home. Let's go. Do they let you take the ball home in NPSL? I don't know that rule either.
I'll buy him one.
Yeah. We can pitch in. We'll get him a
chip in.
Yeah. Ooh, I like
the hat trick award from the La Tormenta.
That's a bold prediction. I like it.
Yep. He was dangerous, and we're going to figure out some things on breaking those lines. Our defensive line's going to shore up some on that return trip, and that opposite fixture is going to be, like Brian said, we're going to come at them hard, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's talk about the table a little bit, just kind of what's going on in the league. It's tough to keep up with all the games because they come thick and fast, right? I don't know if one of you guys has that pulled up, but I was trying to pull it up on my phone, but anybody who's tried to utilize the NPSL website, it can be difficult. So we know that
I'll work on pulling it up.
Yeah, our next 3 games, we have Brownsville next. 2 days later, we've got Houston, and then while you're pulling that up, the following weekend, we have our next home game, and that is El Dastico, right? That's a Lubbock game. And that is, if you only go to one game, right, in the entire season, my vote is that you go to Lubbock at home. I think it's the best match in NPSL that I've seen. I'm biased, but, it's our derby, right? And so... a derby we have won 75% of the matches in, might I add. And Lubbock always shows up. We have a great time hanging out with those guys beforehand, the Mozos. We always buy them a beer and have a good time. And then when we go into the stadium, they cheer loud. We cheer loud. It's just, it's like everything you love in a football match. So just going to plug that. Make sure that you're at that game. But let's talk about the table a little bit. Cameron, do you have that pulled up?
I've got it. So if I remember correctly, going into this week, Oklahoma was sitting as number 1, and we were sitting as number 2. And you would think after that win for Oklahoma that they'd be sitting at number 1, but they are not because of Lubbock coming off of a back-to-back road trip down south like we're about to go and do, and they picked up 2 wins. And so Lubbock is sitting at number 1 with 9 points, followed by OKC with 6, and then West Texas FC still sitting in 3rd with 3 points because of our goal differential, because we only lost 1 goal on the goal differential of this last game and had a huge game against Fort Worth. So we are still right there in the thick of it in the playoff hunt.
Man, that's good to know. And, that's something worth pointing out whenever you're talking about so few games, those things like goal differential, like, I know if you watch Premier League or other leagues, sometimes that number just is like there and you don't really pay attention to it. But in a league that can be this tight, those little things, man. Letting in 4, nobody wants to do that. But if you do, score 3. Right?
Put 3, or 5 on the board, right?
Yeah, that'd be the goal. So where's Brownsville sitting right now?
Brownsville is at the bottom of the table at 7.
Okay. At 7.
They have, what is it? They also, actually, they're sitting at -1 points, and there's some stuff in the league about why that is, because they do have a win.
Little red asterisk there, though.
Yeah, they were docked some points, so I'm not really sure all the details in that one, but they're sitting at -1 points on the table. So, yeah.
So is that like some type of rules violation, and the team got
I believe it's
deducted?
a rules violation. I'm not exactly sure what all went into it, but, yeah, they were definitely docked some points.
Man, that hurts.
Yeah, especially in a season like this where you have 10 games and every one of them counts so much. Like, talk about an uphill battle now.
Yeah.
And they seem like a solid squad. I watched what I could of the Lubbock game with Brownsville, and they took them to the wire. I mean, they were putting pressure on them. I think it was a 1-point decided game, if I'm not mistaken. And so
decided by a really nice free kick. I'll tell you that.
I did see that free kick. That was pretty. So we'll need to make sure we're not giving those away when we play.
Not that close to the box. No, sir.
Not right there outside the box.
I'll tell you what, though, I'd put Kenny's goal up there next to it, man.
Absolutely. That was a banger.
I want Kenny taking those kicks too.
Yeah. Super nice guy too, man. I love getting to chat with Kenny. That was fun.
It's awesome.
So we're going to see, number 6, Houston, number 7, Brownsville on this road trip, and then we're coming back, number 1.
Yep.
So
bring it.
We get to see Lubbock at that point. I mean, of course, the rest of the table is going to settle right now. I believe Oklahoma and Fort Worth are playing. So I don't know where the score of that match is at or anything, but that would, if Oklahoma wins that, they're going to be tied with Lubbock depending upon the goal differential. So right now we're seeing where the table's kind of laying out up here.
And talking to the guys, they did say, it might have been Lucas or one of the guys who said, I think that our biggest competition this year is Oklahoma and Lubbock. Just from them watching film, they've watched a ton of film on all these teams, and they kind of said those 2 teams, I think, are the ones we really have to beat if we're going to win this league. So, and the table is clearly showing that.
Yeah, and back to your point on the goal differential. Last season, the goal differential really came into play for us on why we had so many home playoff games. And that's huge for a team in this, short league like this, having to travel to Columbus or Columbus come here, right? We'd much rather put those guys on the road for 10 hours or flights and jet lag and that kind of stuff than it be us and us not be there to support them. So, yeah, that goal differential is huge, and I think that works in our favor because we know how to put the ball in the net, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah, what we got to do is keep it from going in ours now, right?
Right, yeah. Exactly.
And I do feel like there is something about our defensive play that something about the defense just hasn't. The players are all there. The system seems solid, but just something. It feels like if there's something not quite firing or if something's knocking, it feels like it's on that half of the pitch somehow. I'm not knocking those guys because I saw them work. I saw them doing everything that they possibly could. I believe that they are all unbelievably talented. There's just some kind of connection that just hasn't quite made it there yet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you see how important chemistry is. I mean, like we talked about, some of those guys said Oklahoma, how long they'd played together.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it. We're still gelling new pieces into the back line that weren't there the week before. And we're still probably going to be doing that as we go forward. Scotty's got so many players to play in different places. What's going to work? What's going to not? Is this guy going to go here? Can we fit the midfield? How about a striker? There's so much. So there is going to be a little bit there. I mean, It's not like we got consistently just beat up there.
No.
It's a couple of mistakes. You can clean that up in film.
Right.
I mean, look at it. We're going to come back. We're going to be better. I know this. I mean, look at it's as many dudes came to us after the match, as many of these players that came to us and said, I'm sorry, we will be better. I have no reason not to believe them. Not like they weren't good there, and no apologies needed, but I believe them that they were going to work on that. I believe that they're fiery. I believe that they're going to say, this is not good enough. And they're going to come back and they're going to go and just start, I don't want to say just start bulldozing, but I feel really bad for Brownsville, man. I feel like they're going to be all just pissed off.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to come out like a bull out of the chute, man, just straight bucking. And we're going to see how it looks. And Brownsville's a difficult place to play. I don't care how bad they're doing in the table. We've seen some stuff happen down there. So they need
things
to come
that
out
defy explanation by anybody. Yeah, with eyeballs. Yeah. It's a tough game, man.
Yeah, we need to come out bucking. We need to come out fighting. We need to swing first. We can't wait for them to say something about your mama. We got to go.
Right.
I mean, let's go get it. Let's go get those 3 points. We got to take them now. And show them who we are. I think the rebound is here.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, back on just the short season, the players just showing up a few weeks ago, just getting to know each other, it makes the first few games feel like preseason games. It's so much opportunity for Scotty to plug in a different guy, to try this different formation, because these guys all play in different schools and divisions and stuff to where they're not all playing this exact style. And so to figure out what works best for this set of players is now Scotty's job, and I'm fully confident that the man's going to do it. He's, like we said earlier, a scientist on it. So, I'm no questions there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember last podcast episode the question that we ended on was just what questions are you looking to get answered in the game? And one of mine was just what's the identity of this squad, right? after watching one game on film, it's tough to tell. I really think I got a good shot of the identity of the team in the second half of the game against Oklahoma City. And I was very encouraged by what you were talking about, Brian, the grit and the determination, that it was like, okay, it's 90 plus, and we know that one more goal gets us a point, and it was all going to be left on the field, right? There was no chance of them quitting. Like we were chanting, "We don't quit," and it wasn't to try to encourage the players. We were just communicating what we were feeling and what we were seeing, right? Mm-hmm. Is that, oh, wow, we do not quit. Like, it's a statement. It's not a, hey, remember, we weren't needing to tell them. They were telling us. Yeah.
No.
And
remember
and
Columbus. No.
Yeah. Yeah. And I loved seeing that, and I think my question that I want to see answered against Brownsville is, can we translate that identity into something on the pitch, right? And I know it's all there, right? It's just I believed, talking to those players and to the coaching staff after the last game, they wanted the next game the next day because they were ready. They said, no, that can't be it. Yeah. And they were itching to get that one out of the way, right? And go, no, that's not us. Let me show you. I know you got to wait like a week, but if I could, I'd show you tomorrow. And so I am very anxious because I think at Tall City on Friday is going to be a party. Because I agree, Brian, like it felt the intensity of those players after they had just run around in the heat for 90 minutes, that the intensity was only heightened because of how that game went. And Cameron, I think that's a really good observation about it feeling like a preseason, because that is kind of what it feels like the first handful of games of figuring out those guys are figuring out how this league goes, how these different players play. And then really it's that third, fourth game that you start to kind of get into your stride, whatever your stride's going to be for the season. And so the question is, what's our stride, right? Because I think we're going to see it back to back in Brownsville and Houston. And I would be shocked if it's not something really impressive and some really beautiful, hardworking football. But I'm curious for you guys, what do you have something that you're looking for in the next game? Some question that you want answered?
I really feel like we saw resolve. We saw, toughness. We saw the mental side. I want to see a little more physical. In Brownsville, it's going to be body on body. Let's bang around a little bit. We got some dudes.
Yeah.
Let's go see a little bit of something. Because, again, we said it last time. Is there any style we can't play? Let's see a little more physical. Now, you got to be careful. This is away. This is yellow card season. And they don't stack, if I read that right. They don't stack. I brought that up from the last time. Now, I hope I read the right section of the rule book there. Because there was a lot of yellows going out there, and Oklahoma's going to be in a lot of trouble. But, so let's go out and let's get some body on body. Let's push some people around a little bit. We got some size. We got some speed. Dude, we can get up there and we can get physical too. We got some pretty finesse. Let's let the bodies be on bodies, and let's get that ball moving up there. Let's show them who we are. Let them feel who we are. Because Brownsville's got to come back and play us later this season too in Midland.
Yeah.
And I really want them to dread that bus ride coming up here. Nothing dirty, nothing like that. Just good old-fashioned shoulder to shoulder. Hit the weight room, Jack. You got rolled up.
Yeah, there is something about that, like putting in the back of their mind, like, oh, this is going to be a long day.
This is going to hurt.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this all day, but here I am.
Yeah. How about you, Cameron?
Man, question for me is, how do we respond to adversity? So not just on the pitch, this, upcoming stretch, but how do we respond in training over the course of this next week? What do we do with that energy that Brian's talking about, that you were talking about, of like, hey, we are hacked off. This went this way. Now, how do we productively take that, get the right strategy, get the right energy, and hit it hard in training to then go and take it onto the pitch on Friday night?
Yeah. So I guess to end, we'll just make sure everyone knows 7:00 Friday. at Tall
Yep.
City. Watch
7.
party. It's going to be a show. It's going to be so much fun. The last watch party was phenomenal.
Just as an FYI, the West Texas FC pinned Instagram has the wrong date on it. So it says Thursday, 5:29 instead of 5:30. So it is Friday, 5:30, 7 p.m. So
5:30 being
you
the
can
date.
show up on Thursday. Yeah, 5:30 date, 7 p.m. You can show up on Thursday at Tall City. They'd love to have your business, but the watch party's on Friday.
That's right. If you need to pregame that early, you do what you got to do to support the guys, right?
Yeah.
And then, fortunately, on Sunday, Tall City's staying open for us too. They normally close at 6 on Sunday, so they're going to keep the place open. They're going to keep the La Tormenta people entertained. They're going to keep the game on, and they're going to be there until about 9:30 till this match is done. So we got almost back-to-back watch parties. Come out, be loud, let them hear us.
And a day of recovery in between. So
hydrate.
yeah, man. And can we just say, Tall City? Gosh, those guys, as far as the club, they have been stellar. I mean, they're always stellar, but I feel like they really bumped it up a notch this season. I'm so appreciative to have those guys on the team and just part of the experience. So.
Well, when we walked into the watch party last time, man, unfortunately, you didn't get to see it, but we walked in. It was all set up. Everything was great. It was beautiful. They had the match on everywhere. We had tables with reserved for the watch party. I mean, remember, it wasn't quite that nice in the years past.
Yeah.
So now it's all about it. Hell, they got our logo, the La Tormenta, up there on the watch party deal, man. We made it big time. We made it.
Oh, we are there. I didn't see that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's all epic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then, so Friday, Sunday, and then we turn around the following weekend and we got Lubbock at home. So it's going to be a wild couple of weeks, boys, because I think the Friday and the Sunday, all that's going to do is crank up the volume.
Yeah.
And then come Lubbock game, it's going to get real.
Good news is my voice gets to rest, man. I dang near lost it there on Sunday. I had to have, the kids sitting next to me, take over.
Oh, man, they were hitting the dolly. They picked up on the chants, man.
Yeah, we got them in there now. They're like, next time. I was like, yeah, come next time. Dale. It's all Dale. We're going to do it.
We might even get a bigger drum.
Oh, we're going to have a bigger drum. We're going to have 2 drums. I've already talked to Melissa.
Good, me too.
Great.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah,
Melissa, the GM. What a phenomenal job she's doing. Yeah. I love she walked in front of the Tormenta section during the game, and she got as much applause as Apia and Scotty and the rest of the boys. So, and she deserves every bit of it. So,
every bit. Yep.
Absolutely.
It's
all
great,
right,
man.
gents. Well, Cameron, thanks for being on with us, man. Really appreciate it. Hopefully we can have you on here a lot more. You sound way smarter than me and Brian. So, all right, gents. Well, I'll see both of you guys on Friday.
Friday, let's do this. Ready.
All right, see you then.